Hey there guys, in my last video we talked about converting a Python Flet application into an APK file and testing the result directly on an Android emulator device. In today's video we are going to be using the same counter project, so the same files, and we are going to be building for web instead of APK. That should be enough for a brief introduction. Let's dive directly into all this. So from the Flet homepage, I'm going to navigate to the docs, so the documentation, and over to the Python guide. I'm going to scroll to packaging application for distribution. Click on it and you're going to see this extensive guide containing the packaging of your applications for all the platforms. So in this guide, we have the introduction. The next section goes about the prerequisites. As you can see, the Flutter SDK is required, so you need to make sure you have Flutter and Dart installed. If you have Linux, you need to consider these Linux requirements. If you have Windows, please consider these Windows requirements also. And over here to an interesting section, which is the build platform metrics. As I mentioned in the introduction, today we are going to be building a web application, and as you can see from these metrics, you can build a web application using macOS, Linux, or Windows. So all the platforms support the web building. Now let's move to Flet Build Web, which is the section concerned with the building of web applications. So in my last video, we used the Flet Build APK command to build an APK file from the Python code we had. And today we are going to be using Flet Build Web to build a web application from that same Python code. So that's how simple it is. So for those of you who watched my last video, you will definitely be able to recognize the project we used in that video. So as you can see over here, I still have the build directory with my APK, and this was the APK file we used or we tested on the virtual emulator device. And today, as I said, we're going to be building for web. So let's actually test this application. So I'm going to run it directly on desktop. I'm on PyCharm, so I right click and click on run. And as you can see, the application pops up and works just as expected. That's awesome. To test it on web, it's very simple. You just have to add the view and say ft.appview.webbrowser. You could also optionally specify the port or the host of your application. It all depends on your needs. So I'm going to run this same application. And as you can see, it opens up in my web browser and it works just as expected. We can now move to the next step, which is building it for the web platform. So I'm going to open my terminal, and inside my simple counter directory, so inside my project directory, all what I'm going to say is Flet Build Web. You can also optionally open the help first, and you can see all the commands it has or all the optional parameters you can specify. Check out the Flet guide for all information on all of these parameters. Not all of them will have an effect when building for web. In this video, I'm going to be using just the most basic command, which is Flet Build Web, and it's going to take some time, about 2 to 3 minutes in some cases. So while the application is building, let's further look at this guide. I'm going to skip this and move to building website. So you build your website using the Flet Build Web command. You can specify other optional parameters if you want to specify them, and it says a static website is published into dot. So dot here represents the root of your project, and then subdirectory build, subdirectory web. So moving back to my IDE, you can see it was a success. That's awesome. So inside my simple counter project directory, you can find the build/web, and inside the web, you're going to find all the files related to your web application or related to the web application we are just from building. Back to the documentation, we can see testing the website. So you can test the website using Python's built-in HTTP server module. To test the website, you simply copy this command and paste it right there. And please, just as a quick highlight before we move on, make sure the directory option over here points to the right subdirectory containing your web files. Now back to the documentation. After running this command, it says open this URL, so localhost on port 8000 in your browser to check the published application. So I'm just going to right click on this and click on go localhost. And as you can see, this is the application running just as expected. So it's a success. The application works locally. So over here, I am on my mobile iPhone device. Make sure both your computer and your phone are connected to the same local area network. So from the search bar in my browser, I'm going to type in my IP address, so the IP address of my computer. And I'm going to use the same port as that used on my computer, which is the port 8000. And as you can see, the application runs successfully on my mobile device. So this is the easiest way to test your web application on your mobile device directly. So that's actually all I had to share with you guys in this video. In the next videos, we are going to look at the deployment of your web applications on free web hosting providers such as GitHub and Cloudflare pages. If you faced any issues or have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments below and I will respond to you as soon as possible. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed the content and to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. See you in the next one.